Hello gamers and welcome to yet another tutorial. In this one I will teach you how to use certain very important techniques to maneuver your air forces as well as some other units. The most notable one will be hover bombing. Now there are different ways you can hover bomb which are all useful in different situations. So usually when you command bombers the normal way, like this, by giving an attack order, they will just do one pass and you see a lot of bombs fall away from the target. Now this is not what we want, especially when you want to take objectives such as metal extractors. You want to have the bombers stop above the mechs and all drop every bomb in a straight line. Now the first way you can do this is by holding control and spam clicking right in front of the target, like this. So this is the first technique, but the only problem with this is bombers have acceleration, and if you do this, they will start slowing down just before reaching the target. So if you're trying to kill, for example, have a fab snipe on your opponents, but the fabbers are escorted by stingers, they will start slowing down before reaching the target, which might eventually get them killed before they can drop any bombs, especially if you have like only one bombers in the early game. There is a better option you have, which is to give assist orders on another aircraft, which will immediately, as you can see, stop any movement from happening. So if you do this above mechs, it looks like this. So generally you want to have at least 3 bombers to start metal bombing, hover bombing over metal. You can do it with 1 or 2, but 3 is really the perfect spot in my opinion. Starting from 7 to 8 bombers, you can start killing metal in one pass just with an attack order, which is way more convenient, but you need a big air lead to be able to fly around with an army of 8 bombers. Now there is another alternative, which is to spam the stop order like this, but as you can see it only slows them down and it doesn't prevent them from roaming around the target. I mean, it's kind of, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. I find the assists way to be the more efficient. But there are others inconveniences with the assist technique. You see, to perform it, you have to control move. So if you weren't aware of it, holding control while giving move orders will be different from just clicking somewhere without holding control. Control movement has several properties. The first one is speed. You see, if I give a normal order, all the units will move at the speed of the slowest one because they're trying to preserve the formation, which, as you can see, you have artillery at the back. If you hold control, every unit will move at maximum speed, as you can see. So it is especially important when you have your usual army of early T2. When you just finish your T2 factory, this is the kind of army you will have in general. You want to control click when doing aggressive plays to be sure you reach your target as soon as possible. So this is the first property of control movement. But with air, especially with air, you have another one, which is that by ignoring formation, the aircraft will start merging closer and closer to each other, as you can see. land units have different hitboxes, so it's not as likely to happen. But the problem with that is Hummingbird's projectile have a very small AoE, which means whenever an enemy plane comes and shoots at one of my planes, the damage will spread to a very small zone. This usually doesn't affect air trades, but if you start blobbing your units together, here in this formation, only two missiles could completely wipe out my whole air force. So if you start hover bombing with assisted orders or stuff like that, you want to either be 100% sure that the enemy air force is not able to contest you, or you want to be extra careful and spread them out as soon as you see enemy Hummingbirds approaching. Another alternative you have is to only select the bombers and repeat the same method. Like this. But then, if enemy aircrafts approach, your air force is not... You haven't selected your air force, so you will need pretty high APM to start maneuver them around quickly. So hover bombing is a very powerful tool, but it can be very distracting as it's requiring a lot of APMs. Also, a last thing you should be aware of is that good players will start dodging bombs when you're trying to snipe fabbers. So if you have a fab that's moving left and right, like this one, you can see he's gonna dodge most of the bombs. Let me show you an example. Like this. So as you can see, the bombs have some kind of curved trajectory because they follow the direction of their target. If I move to this down, the bombs will go down as well. So you can quite easily juke out the bomb trajectory, you just have to have the time to select your fabbers. So good players won't let their fabbers die to 1 or 2 bombers. But with hover bombing, you can actually counter this by sitting right in front of them. Multiple bombs will fall in a straight line, but each one will have a different trajectory. You can see the red circle here represents the range at which, the maximum range at which the bomb can have different angles. So if you're sitting right on top of the target and he starts moving left and right, you will have some bombs moving left, some moving right, and in the end it will make it easier to snipe the fabber. So you have to be aware of this. If someone does it to you, well, you just have to take the loss, I guess. It's kind of random, you can still get away with it, but it's harder. And if you see snipeable fabbers, don't just give a stupid attack order, hover bomb on top of them, and you can also maybe start predicting if they're gonna move right. You can kind of hover right or left, or just sit on top of them and try to get a kill. Hover bombing can be a very powerful tool and is one of the main reasons why air is so important. Firstly, it allows to get picks on fabbers and deny the expansion from your enemy, but there are a couple of other ways you can make use of them. Like in this game, for example, which is pretty recent, that I play against PA Soldier, I noticed that he got his commander to walk in one of the spots away from his main base, which means this base is vulnerable. I know I had air lead for a long time, so his air force was probably just this. So I decided to use hover bombing to try and get his energy. see, I destroy almost all of his pigeons, only leaving one left. Unfortunately, I was kind of tunnel visioned at that moment, and if I had seen that he only had 2 Fabbers and no AA, I would have killed these 2 Fabbers, which would have denied him the Galata, and I would have been able to destroy all of his power, probably a lot of his metal, all of this before he gets his first spinner out. Maybe I could have been able to focus his lobs, because lobs are extremely fragile. They have a ridiculously low amount of HP, so kind of a misplay from my side, but it was still a pretty good pick, and all of this was done only with 2 bombers. So yeah, that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!